Hello, this is Mario Farina. Today I'll read a story for you called Wife for a Day. It's a story that appears in this book, which I published just recently. Each story in the book has a picture at the front, and this is the picture at the front of this story. The reason I'm reading from paper is because the print is larger and it's easier for me to see the words. Will you be my wife for a day, Judy? Walter Watkins asked. What kind of stupid question is that? She responded, with a tone engraved with a measure of anger. You know I'm married. You know I love Ed. Have you suddenly lost your mind and your sense of decorum? Oh, Judy, he hastened, I didn't mean to upset you. It isn't like it sounds. Let me explain. This had better be good, she responded. The company I work for has a policy of recognizing people. Somehow it became my turn. Mr. Morgan, my supervisor, told me today I was being honored tomorrow as being husband of the month. I'm not married, as you know, but I don't want to miss out on this. There may be some sort of prejudice to men who are not married, and it may hurt my career. I admit I'm not married, and for that I may have a problem. What I'm asking you to do is pretend to be my wife, but for only a day, only for the time I'm being celebrated. It would be a sort of play acting for you, and it may even be fun. How couldn't they know you're not married? Judy asked. Surely your personnel record shows it. Lee Thorne, the person who makes these honorary assignments, is not known for having a full set of brains in his head. He makes a lot of mistakes like this, but he is the owner's son-in-law. But why me? Aren't there a lot of women you could call upon for the same thing? They'd say no, Judy. You and me, we've known each other since childhood. You'll probably understand me as well as you do your husband. You know that I have no ulterior reason for asking this. I don't think Ed would mind. Ed likes you. You may be right on that point, but there may be someone there who will recognize me and realize I'm faking. You could use your auburn wig, suggested Walter. It will change your appearance dramatically. I know I shouldn't do it. Please. All right, said Judy, but you'll owe me one. Probably more than one. You know where the company is. The proceedings will be in the main conference room. Dress beautiful. What time? Noon. See you. They hung up. There were already a dozen people in the conference room when Walter, accompanied by Judy, entered the room. There was a round of applause. Judy was wearing a white lace dress that could have substituted for a wedding gown. Rather than her hair being fiery red, today it was light brown. All eyes were turned toward her. A middle-aged man, excessively round at the stomach, short of stature, balding, rushed to greet them. Hello, Walter, welcome. We'll be starting the festivities as soon as a few more people arrive. Walter turned to Judy and said, This is Mr. Morgan, my supervisor. Then, facing him, he introduced Judy with, Mr. Morgan, this is Judy, my wife. Mr. Morgan smiled broadly. I knew Walter had good judgment, he commented, but I didn't know exactly how good. If he will allow me to say so, you are an extraordinarily beautiful woman, Mrs. Watkins. That's very nice of you to say that, Mr. Morgan. Walter has often spoken about you. All good. I can't get over how lovely you are, Mr. Morgan muttered. Just ordinary. Nothing special, she responded. I'm sure we'll be seeing a great deal more of you as time goes on, he stated. My wife Marjorie and I will probably be inviting you to dinner at our home from time to time. Judy was not able to hide a slight look of dismay as she heard those words. Inwardly, she was beginning to wonder how long this charade would last. The room filled. Soon there were about 30 people in attendance. Mr. Morgan stood behind the podium and spoke loudly. Ladies and gentlemen, today we honor Walter Watkins as husband of the month. I'm sure if I had been a little more alert as to the loveliness of his wife, I would have given her the title of Wife of the Month. He paused. There was great applause. Walter's countenance took on an appearance of confusion, as did Judy's. He had not expected this turn of events. After the ceremonies had been completed, Walter was given the rest of the day off, and he took Judy home. What do you think about what Mr. Morgan said? She asked when they arrived at their home and parked. Obviously, he became instantly infatuated with you, Walter responded. I saw Harold Miller in the crowd, she said. He may have recognized me. Hope not. He's the epitome of a sleazebag. I'll be going in now, said Judy. This better be the end of my acting career. I'm going to tell Ed that everything went fine, but my conscience won't allow me to sugarcoat it. I'm sure everything will be okay, observed Walter. Any invitation for dinner from Mr. Morgan will be made to my phone. If that happens, I'll make plausible excuses. The next day was a Saturday and the beginning of the weekend. On Monday, Mr. Morgan approached Walter and said, I talked to Marjorie. We'd love to have you over for dinner Wednesday evening. Will you be able to make it? Judy will not be home during the rest of the day today. I'll ask her this evening. That's fine, said Mr. Morgan. That evening, after work, when Walter arrived at his apartment, Judy and Ed were waiting for him at the door. Walter, we need to talk, Ed said. Shall we go inside? By all means, said Walter. I think I know what you want to talk about. The three individuals had barely sat in the living room when the phone rang. Walter picked it up, listened for a moment, then handed the phone to Judy, saying, Mr. Morgan wants to talk to you. She took the receiver from Walter's hand with a bewildered look on her face. Hello, she said. She listened for a long time. Finally, she exclaimed, Mr. Morgan, I'm very honored to have you say those things about me. What you're offering is generous and overwhelming, but I do love my husband very much. What you believe you saw is not accurate. My husband and I are not on the verge of anything. As a matter of fact, Walter is not my husband at all. He is not even married. What you saw between him and me was pure play acting. I don't know how this will affect his career with you, but for my part, what you are saying is very flattering, but I cannot accept it. I apologize for my role in having deceived you and ask for your forgiveness. Please don't call again. Goodbye. She hung up. There was silence in the room as they stared at each other. The phone rang. Walter answered. He handed the headset to Judy. It's Harold Miller. He wants to talk to you. Hello, Harold. Judy spoke apprehensively. She listened for a while, then said, I hate to interrupt you, Harold. Yes, it was me hiding behind the wig. No, Ed and I are not having problems. I'm not married to Walter. It was all an act, sort of like a bad play. She listened again. Her face turned pink, then a blazing red. You want to do what for a day? I will not do that, she yelled. How dare you suggest it? The crackling of the phone on the other end was heard throughout the room. Stop hollering, Harold, she demanded. There were more crackling sounds. Harold, you listen, and you listen good. The answer to your insulting proposition is no. 1,000 times no. She slammed the receiver down hard. She turned to Walter and quietly said, I love you like a brother, Walter, but I should have said no to you too. To Ed she said, and Ed, I'm sorry to have imposed this on you, who didn't deserve it. Come on, sweetheart, let's go home. That's the end of the story. Tomorrow, I'll tell you another story. Thanks you for listening.